Okay, for Parashat Haye, I have for you three things. One is Gematriot, which I'm usually not crazy, but whatever we do once in a while. One is Gematriot, one is Gilgul, and the other one is a classic, normal Devatura. So we have three different styles. Not the whole Pardes in one day, but we can do three different styles. And so we'll start with this. I heard about Ethan Feiner. He put together two really nice pieces, and I want to read it to you. And so, Abraham Avinu Zaken Baba Yamin. He's old. He needs to find a wife for his son Yitzhak. And so he speaks to Avdo Zekan Beto Hamoshel Bechol Asher Lo. He speaks to Eliezer. It doesn't say the name Eliezer in the Torah. And so it says, El Avdo, to his servant, Zekan Beto, the elder of his house, Hamoshel Bechol Asher Lo, who rules on everything he has. So there's three adjectives we use to describe Eliezer here. Avdo, Zekan Beto, the Zaken, the wise person of his house. Zaken is a wise person. In modern Hebrew, it's an old person, right? But in the Torah, Zaken is a wise person. The pasuk says, the pasuk that teaches you that you have to stand up for a rabbi when he walks in, and an old person when they walk in also, a man or a woman, is Mepene Seba Takum Behadata Pene Zaken. That's the pasuk. Mepene Seba Takum. In front of a seva, you have to get up. Behadarta, and you have to give hidur. Give me a good word for hidur. Beauty, glory, not respect. Hidur, like beautiful, beauty, no? Enhancement. Behadarta pene zaken, and you have to beautify, enhance the zaken. Which one is the elder? Why would it say old two times? Seva is an old man, and Zaken is an old man. And it applies for women also, but you have to stand up for a woman that's old also. Which one is which? And so they say, Seva is the old person. Zaken is not the old person. Zaken is the rabbi. The opposite of what they do in modern Hebrew today. Zaken is mi shekana chokmah. Ze shekana. Zaken, break the word into two. Ze kana. This is a person who acquired for himself or herself wisdom. That's nothing to do with age. That they went out and they got it, working, studying, and reading. And so a seva is an old person, and zaken is a wise person. So Abraham's zaken. Abraham was old. He was wise. That's why also in the Haftarah, the first pasuk of the Haftarah is V'amelech David zaken. Zaken, the David was old. He was 70 years old. No, he was wise. Zaken, zakna. V'amelech David zaken ba bayamim. Abraham zaken ba bayamim, and Abraham was old, coming in the days. Hashem blessed him with everything. And he said to his servant, Zekan, the old wise person in his house, the ruler of everything, please put your hand and swear that you're going to find a daughter for my wife. So the Vilna Gaon, the Gra, the Gaon Rabbi Eliyahu Vilna, he says such a nice thing over here. There's a Mishle that every single person knows Mishle. People on the street know this Mishle. Lech el nemala atzel. Go to the ant, you lazy person. Learn from the ant. This is everyone knows this. This is Mishle 6. Huh? Very good. Go look at the ant, you lazy person. See the ways of the ant and become wise. Why? Because an ant never stops working. What's the next pasuk in Mishle? You're on a roll, Yadi. The next pasuk in Mishle. You were doing great. Asher enla, because the ant works so hard and it doesn't have. You should know this. Asher enla kasin. The ant has the ant has no kasin. Kasin is where's the kasin is Yosef HaSadik was the kasin. By Simei the kasin, Yosef HaSadik is kasin. Katzin. Well, I don't have a tzaddi, I have a saddi. A katzin. The Katzin, his wife's family, the Katzin family, they were like a very prestigious family. Katzin are the leaders in Halab. Yeah, it's better than an officer. Yeah, commander. Because a shoter is an officer. No? What is a shoter?
Katzin is like a commander.
So Shlomo HaMelech says Go look at the ant and learn, because the ant in la katzin, it has no commander, shoter, policeman, officer, umoshel, and ruler. You ever see an ant standing over the other ant say, move, let's go, pick up? No, they just do it on their own. Now, there's a queen ant somewhere, apparently, but no one's standing on top of the ants, and they just keep working. So the Shalom says, you should learn from them. Listen to this, Bill Nagon. The Gra says as follows. Katzin, what is a katzin? Hu b'chokhmah. It's a wise leader, like a zaken. Shelomed Torah berabim, who teaches Torah publicly. Umoreh hura'ah b'Yisrael, and teaches all the people. That's a katzin. A shoter, an officer, hu b'ma'aseh. He's in charge of physically. Lekayem hapsak v'leradot ulachriach la'asot haba. To stand over people and say, Rabbi said you have to pay him $20,000 in bet din. Pay up. The shoter is the officer who's in charge of doing things. Umoshel, the ruler, hu b'midot le'ashkiach shelo yeheh olev v'gezel v'hamas be'ir. The ruler is in charge of making sure everything is like a mashkiach, like your rabbi. Everyone's beseder. Any problems, go to him. You take care of it. This is why it says in the pasuk, says the Gemara, Vayomer Avraham el avdo zekan beto hamoshel bechol shelo. Why did it use three adjectives to describe Eliezer? Avraham is saying to Eliezer, you know what you are? You're my avdo, you're my servant, who shoter, you're my officer. Zekan beto, you're the wise man in my house. You're the katzin of my house. That's the katzin. And the moshel, my ruler, bechol shelo, kemashmao, mashkiach. So you are all three things. Every great thing needs three leaders, and except for the ants, they just do it on their own. But everyone else does. And Abraham is telling Shlomo, Eliezer, you're my everything. You're my all three things: the katzin, shoter, and the moshel. This is why it says, "Uben meshek peti the mesek Eliezer." In Parashat Lech Lecha, when Abraham Avinu was crying to Hashem, "Give me a son," and he says, Abraham says to Hashem, "Who's going to inherit me? I don't have any children." Uben meshek peti the mesek Eliezer. This is what he says to Hashem. What does this mean? Uben meshek peti the mesek Eliezer. The only guy I have in my house is the Eliezer from Damascus. That's what he's saying. Says the Vilna Gaon, Ben meshek peti. All I have is my meshek. What is meshek? Moshel, shoter, and katzin is Eliezer. He's filling the job of all three. It's the only guy I have. Meshek is all three. I need more. All three guys are Eliezer. And so Abraham Avinu, he was praising Eliezer. It's a nice, I love that going on. He was praising Eliezer when he says to him, "Hey, I need you to help me here. There's only one, this is the most important job I have. Find a wife for my son, the right wife. I need you to make sure you're the guy. You know, you're the guy, Eliezer. You're my katzin, you're my moshel, and my shoter. You're my everything. And that's why I think you're the most important person for this job." So he's building him up. What happens now? Eliezer goes on the journey, and from now on, he's only known as Ha'eved or Ha'ish one time. He's the servant. And even when he introduces himself to the family, he says, Eved Avraham Anochi. Yeah, I'm a servant of Avraham. You're a servant? You're the biggest guy he has. That's only one of the three adjectives. Why did he choose the one adjective servant? I just gave you three adjectives. You could have said, I'm the katzin of Avraham. Katzin Avraham Anochi. Shoter Avraham Anochi. Moshe Avraham. No, Eved Avraham Anochi. Why is Eliezer doing this? And so the next one is a very nice shot from the Imre Noam. The Imre Noam says as follows. There's a Gemara in Ketuvot that says it's so hard to find a spouse. It's very difficult. Kashe zivugam. It's so hard to find a spouse, like Kiryat Yamsuf. It's like separating the sea. That's how hard it is for people to find. It's very hard to find. I had to travel 3,000 miles to find my wife across the country. It's not easy. You have to find your wife. It's very difficult to find a spouse. Kashe zivugam. It is difficult, says the Imre Noam. Eliezer, I'm going to ad-lib a little bit here into his words. Eliezer was just told he's the main guy for the job because he's all three of those things. But he realizes, you know how difficult this job I'm in right now to find just the right spouse for Yitzhak? It's kasher, it's difficult. Kasher is kof shin he. Kaf is 100, Shin is 300, and He is 5. That's 405. There are three names that Hashem uses in the Torah, especially in Sefer Bereshit, when He speaks to Abraham Avinu and to the Avot. Bekel Shaddai, which is Shin and Dalet and Yod, or Havaya, Yod and He and Vav and He, or Aleph Dalet Nun Yod, Amonai. Those are the three names that you use. And so if you take the name Havaya, it's 26. And if you take Amonai and you take Shakai and you add all three together, it equals exactly 405. And so Eliezer is saying it's so difficult. Kasher zivugan. It's so difficult. A person can't be assigned this. I need Hashem's help. I need the master of these three. The three names we have for Hashem, Shakai and Havaya and Amonai. He's going to be the one doing it. I'm just Eved Avraham Anoki. I'm not involved. Nothing I do is going to help here. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Imre Noam as follows. He says the three names of Shakai, Havaya, and Amonai are 405. And when it introduces this whole parasha, it says, "Abraham zaken ba bayamim." Abraham was old, coming in the days, which is also a duplicate. Well, it happens to be, he says, Abraham. Now, I don't know how you figure all this out. Abraham zaken. Add up the letters. Abraham zaken. Abraham was old. It's exactly 405, which means he's about to need the three names to help him find the zivugim, which is kashet, the match, which is art. But he's not done here, and he says. Later on, Eliezer, when he's watching the girl pour the water, it says, "V'ha'ish mishta'ela." The man was watching and waiting on her to see if she's going to feed the camel. That's the one time it says ish. He calls Eliezer an ish. Why does it switch from Eved? The whole time it says, "V'yomena Eved, v'yomena Eved, v'ha'ish mishta'ela." And the man is waiting on her. Says the Imre Noam, "V'ha'ish mishta'ela." Ish is Aleph. Amonai, Yud is Yud and He and Vav and He, and Shin is Shakai. He's channeling all three names. So the man is waiting for her with all three names that he's expecting help with for this difficult zivug. And it goes on. And he says, there's one more. Hold on. Eved Avraham Anochi, I think is also 405. Eved Avraham Anochi, a servant of Avraham I am. I believe that's it. If you check it after, it's also 405. And so Eliezer, he's given these three names, these three. Here, let's see. Eved Avraham Anochi is 405. Eved Avraham Anochi, I am the servant of Avraham, also 405. And so the Avraham Zaken is 405. Zivug is kashe, it's hard to find a zivug, 405. Eved Avraham Anochi, 405. And Ve'aish are the three names that equal 405. Amonai, Yud and Vav and He, and Shakai, 405. And the last one was what? The last one was the last one was when he says, I'm Eved, I'm not a man. I'm just Eved, I'm doing it. And so the whole thing is channeling the three names of Hashem. That's the gematria for this one. So that's number one. How do you come up with these gematrias? I have no idea. I mean, either you have a calculator in your head or it's inspired from heaven. I have no idea. Now, put that aside for a second. Now we go to the Kabbalah section, and then we'll go off to the regular section. Listen to this Arizal. I find this fascinating. The Arizal says as follows. Eliezer, he's asked to go find a wife for Yitzhak, and we know that Eliezer has his own daughter that he really wanted for Yitzhak. And he has to sacrifice and not give his daughter to Yitzhak because that's not what his master wanted. Says the Arizal as follows. Eliezer was a servant. He's called Eved all over. He comes from, it's a question where exactly, maybe Mitzrayim or Nimrod's son, we're not sure exactly. But he's an Eved. He was part of the cursed family that Noah cursed. Says the Arizal as follows. When Eliezer came and he did Misut Nefesh, he sacrificed his own daughter's best interest to find a girl for Yitzhak, in the house of Betuel and Lavan. Lavan comes out and he sees this is a very special guy. Lavan, the trickster, comes out and he blesses Eliezer. Look at the pasuk. He says, "Bo beruch Hashem." Come, you're blessed by Hashem. Blessed is Hashem. Eliezer, Lavan gives Eliezer a very beautiful blessing. And he says, Lama ta'amod bahus? Why are you standing outside? Don't you know I cleaned the whole house? Read the pasuk like a first grader. That's what he says. Lavan says, Lavan hears that this guy is out there. He goes to the well and he says, Bo Baruch Hashem, come inside. You're blessed to Hashem. Lama ta'amod bahus? Why are you standing outside? I clean the house. Piniti. I clean the house. And there's even place for your camels to come. She says, Piniti abayit, I clean the house, I cleaned all the idols away. So it's all holy, because you're a holy guy. Piniti means I cleaned up. Says that is as follows. When Lavan ha'arami, and this is going to be Kabbalistic now, it's Gilgulim, so you're forewarned. When Lavan ha'arami, when Lavan blesses Eliezer, even the blessing of someone like Lavan, he took him out and he freed him from being a slave. Eliezer was an Aved, and with the blessing of Lavan, he unlocked him and he said, you're no longer a slave, you're blessed to Hashem. Therefore, what? Later on, there was a person named Kalev ben Yefuneh. Kalev ben Yefuneh was one of the 12 spies. He was one of the good ones. Says the Arizal, Kalev ben Yefuneh is none other than Eliezer. Eliezer came back and was Kalev. Who did Kalev marry? The sister of Moshe Rabbeinu, Miriam. And so Eliezer came back and joined Klal Yisrael because he was freed by Laban with the blessing. Says the Arizal. Lavan also came back as another no good guy. If you just jingle the letters around, Lavan, Naval. Naval was the guy who was married to Avigail, who didn't want to give David HaMelech any of his or his soldiers any provisions, and he disgraced the king. He was a drunkard. Naval was a no good guy, like his name suggests. Naval is the no good guy. He was married to Abigail, and so Lavan becomes Naval, and his wife Abigail ends up marrying David HaMelech once Naval is gone. So Naval basically gives his wife to Eliezer. Eliezer withheld his daughter. He held his daughter back from Yitzhak, and he gave instead, let me take Lavan's family for Yitzhak. I'll take your sister. So in return, says the Arizal, Lavan has a beautiful wife, Abigail, Sadeket. He says, you take my wife. Here, here's payback. You have my wife. So in Lavan, now, Abigail and David HaMelech get married, and they have a son. What's the son's name? Kilav. It's the same three letters. Kilav with the aleph, without the aleph sometimes. It's the same three letters as Kalev. And so Eliezer, who was Kalev, comes back as the daughter of Abigail and Lavan, basically, and is now Kilav. And so Eliezer is basically the son of Lavan. He owns Lavan because he freed him from the Abdut. Says that's the words of the Arizal. Eliezer is like the son of Lavan. Lavan, he gives Eliezer the girl 2 times. First, he gives him Rivka to take back home. And second, he gives Abigail, and then that births Kilav. And Kalev and Kilav is the same thing. It says the final touch from the Arizal. That's why Kalev is called Kalev ben Yefuneh. Kalev ben Yefuneh. Yefuneh was not his father's name, right? If you know from Chronicles, his father's name was Hetzron. Kalev ben Yefuneh. Yefuneh was not his dad's name. So Rashi over there says, no, he was Panei Atzmo. He turned himself from the Asat ben Agelim. He turned away from the bad guys. That's why it's called Ben Yefuneh. Because Yefuneh also means to turn. Says that he said, no. Kalev ben Yefuneh is Kalev, the son of the guy who cleaned the house. Lavan says, Ba'anochi piniti abayit. I clean the house. You're the son of him, says the Arizal. Kalev ben Yefuneh, because he comes back and gives Abigail to David, and they have Kalev. So there's your Gilgulim for the unbelievable. The Arizal has all these things. So we have one Gematria thing, we have one Gilgulim thing, now we go back to normal. Just one nice shot. I think I've said it a couple of years ago. Every time I read this parasha, I think about this, and it's very important to me. This is from Rabbi Victor Miller. And so if I said it before, apologies. It's always in my mind of this parasha. Abraham Avinu, when he talks to Eliezer and he sends him on the journey, he says, Amonai Hashem, who's always helped me. He will send the angel, he will help you. Everything's gonna be fine. You're going to be totally fine. You're going to have success. Eliezer is bothered. He says, what if I can't find a girl? You're making me swear to find a girl. What if I can't hold up my end of the bargain? He says, what are you talking about? Hashem always helped me. I promise you, everything's going to be fine. Eliezer asks him again. He says, but maybe the woman's not going to want to come with me. Maybe I'll find her. That's step two. First, I was afraid I wouldn't find her. Maybe I'll find her. But you told me I can't move your talk over there. She has to come back here. Maybe she doesn't want to move. Maybe she doesn't want to come after me. And so it says, Abraham Avinu answers Eliezer, and he says, if she doesn't want to move, you're free from the oath. The deal is off. I have no claim against you. Your job is to go there and try. And if you have no success, Nikita Mishuvati, you're free. Don't worry about it. No pressure. Everything's going to be fine. Says Rabbi Victor Miller. In the first instance, Abraham Avinu was telling Eliezer, don't worry. Don't you know that Hashem has been running my life for over 100 years, 137 years, 140 years almost? Don't you know everything's going to be fine? He's going to give you total success. There's not anything to worry about. And he says, yeah, but what if she doesn't want to come after me? What am I going to do? He says, okay, send you free. Don't worry about it. Then the deal's broken. The deal is not going to be on. Says Rabbi Avinu Miller, you just told him, Hashem, answer Hashem. I just told you, Hashem's going to help you. Hashem's going to help you. He always helps you. And then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, you're right. It may not happen. Okay, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Do you believe Hashem's going to help you or not? Does Abraham Avinu believe Hashem's going to help or not? And says Rabbi Miller something very basic and so important. He says, emunah bitachon, faith in Hashem. I say, everything's going to be fine. Hashem's going to help you. That's very good for you. Don't push it on somebody else. You believe Hashem's going to help you. And so when Abraham Avinu introduces the whole thing, he says, I want you to go find a wife for my husband, for my son. Hashem has always helped me. I'm telling you, it's going to go perfectly. And Eliezer says, but what if it doesn't work out? Oh, so he doesn't have faith. He doesn't have full faith. And so I'm not going to preach to you and say, oh, no, everything's going to be great. Hashem's going to help you. I'm going to say something real. I'm going to say, okay, you know what? If it doesn't work out, don't worry about it. The deal's off. Says Rabbi Miller, when someone's going through something tough, and they come in and they say they're having problems financially or whatever, don't preach to them and say, Hashem, don't you know Hashem is amazing? What's the matter with you? You worry about your bills? Don't you know Hashem is with you? Are you crazy? You don't have faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You need better faith. There's a lot of rabbis that do that. Don't do that. That's for you. You keep this for you. So that's for me. When it comes to you, oh, you're right. Wow. I don't know how you're going to make the mortgage payment this month. We have to work it out. Let's figure out what we can do. A person doesn't want to be preached to on emunah bitachon when they're worried about something, even though it's the right thing to do, to have faith. You learn from Abraham Avinu, you go down to their level. The most important thing is to empathize with them. Go down to their level, understand their worries. In your mind, you say, come on, what are you worried about this? Hashem's got this. But you don't say that out loud. First, make them feel better, and then you can go back and tell them, Hashem's going to take care of you. I'm not worried about you. And so a little bit of this Abraham Avinu, a little bit of empathy to another person who's going through something and they're worried, even though you're not worried at all, acknowledge it and say, I understand what's going on. I understand. Okay, let's figure it out your way. So I gave you three different things. We started with the Gematrias, 405. Lech el nimala atel. Go look at the ant. The ant has no katil, moshel, and shoter. And that's the Meshek. The Mesek Eliezer. Eliezer was all three guys, even though he was the most main guy for Abraham Avinu. He identified only as Eved Avraham Anochi. Why? Because it's 405, and he understands he's about to embark on a mission of finding a match which no man can do. It's only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's Kasher, the Zivugan. Kasher is 405. And that happens to be the three names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amonai, Yudke, and Vavke, and Shakai. Added all together is 405. And the last message is the practical one. When people have a problem, hear them out, listen, don't preach, save the preaching for another time. People want to be heard. That's the main thing. Have a nice week, and we'll see you next time. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.